The four main ingredients of a dough are wheat, salt, yeast, and water. The wheat is for the structure of the dough. The salt is used for flavoring of the dough. Then the yeast is used to help the dough rise, and the water is helped to make all the ingredients come together. Then we had to scale our ingredients, which is bread flour, whole wheat flour, buckwheat flour, dough conditioner, ice cold water, salt, yeast. Then you put the ice cold water in the mixer, followed by all the dry ingredients, and then you add your salt and butter on top of that. Then you'll mix them first speed until all the dry is incorporated, and then you take a piece out and you roll it on the table until a thin line, until you can get a thin strip that doesn't tear, and that's when you're ready to use the dough. You will then have to cover the wine bottle with parchment paper. You have to cover the body and the neck with it, and then you'll spray it with pan spray. So that way it comes out easy and does not stick to the dough. You then have to scale the dough out into different parts. The main body you have to scale out 2,300 grams. For the small braid, you have to scale 3 pieces at 100 grams each. And the large braid is 3 pieces at 660 grams each. And then for the leaf, you'll have to use the extra dough and use the sheeter to sheet it down to 22 millimeters. And then for the roses, you sheet down to 1 millimeter. For the large braids, you will roll the dough into a ball with the seam down, and then you will let it rest, and then you'll flip it up so the seam's up, and you'll degas it, and then you'll fold it from north to south halfway, and then you will flip it 180 degrees, and while you do that, you stretch it, and then you'll fold it halfway down again, from north to south. And then you will seal it, and then you will roll it until it's about a little over the diameter of the main body, and then you will get ready to braid it. Once all 3 of the large pieces for the braid are all the same length, you will then start to braid the dough. You'll start in the middle of the dough and braid one way, and then you will flip it over and do the other side of it. Once you have the braid done, you will roll it on the table so that way you can get all the same even length and thickness. large braid around the main body, and you will have it meet at start and end at 2 o'clock, so that's where they meet, and that's where your main hers will go. And then we will prepare the grapes. And you'll cut a strip in 2 pieces and then cut those pieces in half. And then from there you'll cut them into little sections so that way you can roll them into rounds and have them shaped like grapes, and they don't have to all be the same shape and size. You will then make the roses, and for the roses you'll cut out 7 circles, and then you'll roll the first one, and then you'll wrap all the other ones around it and kind of fan them out as you wrap them around it. want. And then from there you'll cut, after you cut out the 3 leaves, you will thin out the edges to start to make it look like a leaf. Then place the wine bottle so it's about 11 o'clock and 6 o'clock on an angle. You will then put the small braid over the neck of the wine bottle and rearrange the pieces so that way it looks nice on the side of the thing, and kind of arrange the tail end of the braid so that way it doesn't show after you put the grapes on. You will then stack the grapes onto the next to the wine bottles, but don't let anything really touch the wine bottle except for the part that's hanging over the neck. And then you will put the leaf over the top of the part of the grapes and make it look realistic. You can then add the roses to the main part. You will make a little incision in the large braid to add the rose in it. You want to make sure your rose is 90 degrees so it doesn't tip over when it's proofing or baking. You could then add a little bit extra detail, like adding vines to your roses, so that way it shows a little bit more of like being live and more visual. You can then spray it with a little bit of water to add mist before you start proofing. Then you put it in the proofer for 30 minutes, so that way it proofs. And once your dough has been proofing for 30 minutes in the proofer, you can then pull it out and then you dust it with light rye flour. Then you will score into the rose leaves, the leaf on the main leaf on it, and also the little parts off the little braid. You will score into them as well. When scoring, you'll use the X-Acto knife and in the leaves and make it kind of look natural and real. So that way it gives it more of that live feel. Once you're done scoring, you will then put it in the oven for an hour with steam to bake. Once your dough has come out of the oven and cooled for a couple minutes, you'll then take out the wine bottle and replace it with a real wine bottle.